Stand by SOT1.
Standing.
10 seconds. Ready, rollin'. Ready, SOT1.
Ready.
In 4, 3, 2, 1. Roll in.
From legendary Uncle Studios in beautiful Southern California, welcome to another edition of Work Comp Matters, the central location for you employees, you employers, and of course, we haven't forgotten about you damn independent contractors. And now, here's this week's edition of Work Comp Matters. July 13th, 12 noon straight up. Welcome to another edition of Work Comp Matters. We are brought to you by workcompcentral.com. If you want the number one location for workers' compensation in both California and around the United States, check out the workcompcentral.com. They've got a free 7-day offer. And if you want to pick up their services, I have them. You should too. It's only $1 a day. Work Comp Matters is also brought to you by A1 Law, number one computer management system, 818-357-4120 for your no strings attached, money back guaranteed, $1 a day. A1 Law. Well, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Steve Appell. I'm joined by the madman across the water, John Scalia, and the chief of staff, Mike Zyma. Hot off the press, the Los Angeles Unified School District announced today that students would not be returning for in-person classes this fall after teachers urged the district to keep stay-at-home orders in place and put an increased focus on improving online learning. Unfortunately, COVID-19 continues to spread in the Los Angeles area, and the virus is going to impact how we start the new school year. Superintendent Austin Buettner said in a statement, while the new school year will begin on August 18th as scheduled, it will not begin with students at school facilities. The health and safety of all in the school community is not something we can compromise. Students will begin the fall semester online with a regular schedule that includes daily live engagement between teachers and students. Buettner said regular assessments of students' progress will be used by teachers to guide their work with students and keep families informed. Where possible, schools will add instruction and one-on-one tutoring after school and on Saturday mornings to help students make up for lost time and accelerate their progress. More detailed information about the finalized plans for the fall semester are expected to be released the week of August 1, Buettner said. The decision follows a vote last week by the LA Unified School teachers hoping to continue with online learning as the pandemic continues to worsen in California. So hot off the press, Los Angeles Unified School District, basically the first or the second biggest school district in the nation, has announced that it will not be returning for in-person classes this fall. John Scalia, we have talked on this show most recently many times, and I said I wasn't confident that kids will be going back to school. And here you go. The proof is in the pudding. What's your take, man?
Well, as you know, I enjoy saying I told you so. A while back, I said, everybody's talking about the kids are going to go back to school. And I said, well, what nobody's talking about is the power of the California Teachers Union and other teachers unions, which is significant. And unless you get their agreement to live classes, nothing's going to happen. I mean, Donald Trump can huff and puff all he wants, but ain't going to blow the house down.
Yeah, Donald Trump has no control over the LA Unified School District.
Well, he keeps threatening. I mean, I know that, you know that, but apparently Donald Trump doesn't know that. He keeps threatening to do things, which he apparently can't do anyway, but he keeps making those threats. And like I said, he's huffing and puffing and blowing away, but the house ain't blown down.
Mike Zyma, you've got a grandchild baking in the oven. What do you think about the latest news about the LA Unified? Well, you're not in LA Unified. You're like in Saugus Unified or something like that, right?
Well, no, it's William S. Hart Unified. But I find it interesting that Trump and his people are doubling down on this, threatening to withhold funding from districts that don't completely open up. And of course, that's nuts. There's a lot of optics and stuff like this. Betsy DeVos was on CNN on Sunday for an extended interview. And John, I think you should Google this. She looks like the Wicked Witch of the West.
I've seen the interview. I've seen parts of it. Yeah.
Doesn't she look like crazy?
She is crazy.
I mean, I know, but her eyes. It was bizarre.
You got to remember, this is a woman who was at a historically black college and had no clue as to how they came into existence. She said, "This is a great tribute to freedom of choice because you can go to school where you want." And she had no idea that the only reason historically black colleges were created was due to segregation. I mean, she's an idiot.
Well, then there was a congresswoman who said that she wouldn't trust Betsy DeVos to tend to her houseplant, let alone her children. And I think I'm speaking pretty measured here because I've never really been a Trump hater. I mean, at least until he started talking about recommending people inject themselves with bleach. So I think I'm pretty well measured here, but
yeah, you have been, but I think he's really going off the rails now. Did you see the tweet today about, don't believe doctors, don't believe scientists, just believe me? I mean, he's really lost it.
Well, that's because they are now full bore going after Fauci. Yeah. And if he fires Fauci, he's just going to find that more and more and more people are just not going to go along anymore. And of course, and I believe that the virus is going to be his undoing because I don't think he has the wherewithal to get through this. He's not FDR and he's not Abe Lincoln for sure. And he's more like Hoover with the Depression.
All right. Well, you guys can talk or bash on Trump a little bit later in the show, but I wanted comments on the LA Unified School District because, of course, Work Comp Matters is based out of beautiful Southern California. Going to the more national scene, thank you for the segue with Donald Trump, lauded for their service and hailed as everyday heroes. Essential workers who get the coronavirus on the job have no guarantee in most states that they qualify for workers' compensation to cover lost wages and medical care. Now, of course, Governor Gavin Newsom, the Gav, as we call him here, he issued an executive order months ago, basically saying that if you get COVID-19 and you work out of the house, that is going to be covered by workers' compensation. Debate over workers' compensation in the states, the other 49 states, is part of a much larger national discussion about liability for virus exposure, with Republicans in Congress seeking a broad shield for businesses in the next coronavirus relief bill. And for most employees going back to job sites as the economy reopens, there's even less protection than for essential workers. In nearly all the states, they have to prove they got the virus on the job to qualify for workers' comp. Not in California, okay? If you work outside the home and you got coronavirus, it's because of work. Nurse Dory Harrington of Manchester, Connecticut, said she got COVID-19 caring for infected patients of a nursing home with limited protective gear. Harrington was severely ill and missed 5 weeks of work, yet her workers' comp claim was initially denied on grounds that her disease was not distinctively associated with nor peculiar to her job. Just another BS denial. Of course, John Scalia, 35 years in work comp, Mike Zima, 40 years in work comp, me, 30 years in work comp. We see all these BS denials all the time. You got a nurse who's caring for nursing home patients get COVID-19, and it's denied based that it has nothing whatsoever to do with work. Come on, give me a break. It's great to be appreciated, but we need to be taken care of too, said Harrington, who eventually won her claim with union help. Nobody should have to fight to be taken care of when they were simply doing their job, taking care of other people. It's obnoxious to me, Harrington said. Workers' compensation is not health insurance or an unemployment benefit. The $56 billion state-level insurance system is one of the nation's oldest forms of social contract. And in exchange for coverage, workers give up their right to sue their employers for job-related harms. I guess they mean pain and suffering. Employers pay the premiums to support the system. Complex rules differ from state to state. Mike Zima, why don't you hit me up with the next news story?
2 Clovis restaurants, Clovis, the city of Clovis, were cited recently for allowing customers to eat inside, a violation of the GAB's order.
Hey, Mike.
Clovis, yeah.
Is that the city of Clovis?
Yes.
Oh, go ahead. Please continue.
As opposed to the Clovis culture and their arrowheads, by the way. But spread of COVID-19. Fresno County is among the counties affected by the state of California's crackdown due to the rising numbers of positive cases. House of Juju, that's Juju, and Luna's Pizzeria, an Italian restaurant, each received misdemeanor citations from the California Department of Beverage Control on Friday. The ABC is part of a multi-agency strike team the governor assembled to enforce the dining rules. And another story, no longer shy about challenging scofflaw businesses, 2 Sacramento area counties now say they will fine or suspend permits of businesses that resist coronavirus safety measures. The threat of fining or shutting down recalcitrant businesses is one that most local governments in California have been loath to take, fearing it would stir anger among constituent businesses who believe their rights are being infringed. And folks, I think that as the virus continues to spread, they're going to shut these guys down. That's my view.
A vaccine may not be enough to end the coronavirus pandemic and restore society to some semblance of normalcy, according to doctors and researchers who say effective treatments for COVID-19 are equally important. While many parts of public life, from, as you were saying, Mike, the crowded stadiums to San Francisco's beloved cable cars, are on hold until the threat posed by the virus abates. A vaccine alone will likely not allow these functions to everyone who needs it. My name is Steve Appell. You're dialed into Work Comp Matters. We are brought to you by workcompcentral.com. If you want the #1 location for workers' compensation in both California and around the United States, check out workcompcentral.com. They've got a free 7-day offer. And if you want to pick up their services, I have them. You should too. It's only $1 a day. Work Comp Matters is also brought to you by A1 Law, #1 computer management system, 818-357-4120 for your no strings attached money back guarantee, $1 a day. A1 Law, well, he practiced law in California workers' compensation in beautiful Southern California for 35 years. But after he was finished, he kicked it in the ass and moved out to Munich, Germany. With his regular contribution to the show, the socialist himself, Mr. John Scalia. Oh, he's also the madman across the water. John? And it sounds like we might have a problem with John. John, are you? Did you get accidentally?
Hang on.
Oh, there you go. We got you. There you go.
Yeah, I had my mic shut off. I was going to say, instead of my segment, I'm just going to read a rather long article about California teachers fight back against pressure to reopen schools.
Go ahead.
This is, okay. California Governor Gavin Newsom insists schools need to make their best attempt to open this fall, warning of the educational and social emotional impacts of keeping kids out of the classroom. He's ordered a mountain of masks and other protective gear for schools to encourage safety amid a rash of new coronavirus outbreaks that have forced him to reinstate stay-at-home orders and shutter bars and restaurants that had barely reopened. But the California Teachers Association, one of the largest and most powerful unions in the country, says it's still worried. The union is insisting on prolonging distance learning instead of forcing its army of more than 300,000 educators back into schools. We hope we don't have to go there, but if it comes to it, we do retain the right to refuse to work under unsafe conditions, said David Fisher, president of the Sacramento City Teachers Association. The virus is raging, and the circumstances that we were thinking we might be dealing with in September only a few weeks ago seem to be changing by the day. It just is looking increasingly unlikely that we will be able to teach in person at any level when schools first open. As President Donald Trump ramps up pressure on states to get kids back in the classroom, his education department going as far as threatening to cut aid to schools that don't reopen, the standoff in the nation's largest state underscores the difficult road ahead for governors and local leaders. Many are conflicted about what to do, citing the unknown surrounding how children can spread the disease and the impact of a country without schools on the economy. But even for those who are finding a way to move toward reopening, like Newsom, one big question rises to the top. What will happen if teachers refuse? Dozens of California teachers said in interviews they do not feel safe returning to classrooms anytime soon and are trying to wrap their heads around Newsom's messaging about stay-at-home orders and taking the virus seriously while also pushing schools to open as soon as possible. While Newsom has mandated masks statewide, K-12 students are not required to wear face coverings in schools, even as he calls school safety during the pandemic non-negotiable. Amy Sepulveda, a teacher in Fresno, lives with her 80-year-old grandmother and her father, who works at Avenal State Prison, the site of one of the state's largest coronavirus outbreaks. She worries about both bringing the virus home and bringing it into her school. Teachers and students are being treated as sacrificial, disposable human beings, Sepulveda said. About half of the state's counties have been placed on a coronavirus watch list in recent weeks due to an uptick in cases, putting 80% of California's population on alert. Hospitalizations are rapidly increasing, with the state recording its highest single-day coronavirus death toll in recent days. There have been more than 6,800 coronavirus deaths in the state since February, according to the California Department of Public Health. Well, it's a long article. I think that's enough that I've read. You get the idea. As I said before, the California Teachers Association retains the right on behalf of their members to refuse to go back under unsafe conditions. What a concept. That's what unions are for. Unions are there to protect their members. And while I disagree a lot of the times with the California Teachers Association as a union, I certainly think they have the right on this one.
John, do you think that the teachers union is going to have any problem with going back to school this fall online?
No. I think, online's not a problem for them. They're all fine with being online.
You don't think they will potentially, I was going to say complain, but that's really the wrong word. You don't think they will express some interest that they cannot teach as effectively online as in person? They would rather have it online than not at all, right?
Yeah, and I think they all agree that being online is not as effective as in person. But then again, that we've got a pandemic to deal with.
Yeah,
so, yes, yeah. And I heard the earlier statement that Mike said they were going to give tutoring on Saturday morning, and I was thinking, oh my God, if somebody had told me when I was a student that I have to get tutored on Saturday morning, I'd say, what, are you kidding me?
And if I was a teacher and they say you had to tutor Saturday morning, I would probably say the same thing. What, are you kidding me? Well,
I assume they'll get paid.
I thought they were on salary, John.
I'm not.
You would know better than I. Yeah.
Well, I'm not sure. They're on salary, but I think they do get. I think there's probably a thing for overtime. I don't think they're not salaried in the sense that they can work 90 hours a week and just get their regular salary. I think they do get overtime. I'll check on that, but I'm pretty sure that's true.
Yeah, check on it and get back to us. Mike Zyma, you've got the next news story.
Young people who smoke or vape have higher risk of dying from COVID-19, a UCSF study finds. Smoking was the most common risk factor for severe COVID-19 complications among otherwise largely healthy young people, according to a UCSF study published Monday in the Journal of Adolescent Health. For young men, smoking or vaping may more than double the potential of being hospitalized, needing intensive care, or even dying from the virus. For young women, it could increase the possibility 1.5 times.
Yeah, I've been a cigarette smoker for 30, 40 years. I tried vaping once and didn't like it. Boy, I remember last year we were starting to have all of those lung problems with vaping. And then as COVID kicked in, the vaping issue kind of filtered out. But, that vaping is dangerous.
Well, come to think of it, I haven't seen anybody vaping in months.
My younger son vapes.
Still?
Yeah, he's 40 years old, but yeah, he vapes.
How long has he been vaping for, John?
I don't know. I didn't ask him that.
Did he used to smoke cigarettes and now vapes, or what?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. John, have you got
he's
another?
He's very athletic. I mean, he's extremely fit and he's very athletic. He boulders and he's in really good shape. So one of the things I'd be curious about is, the people who do smoke like that generally don't tend to be athletic or exercise.
That's because I was going to say it's because it cuts down on their wind. I would think it's very difficult to be athletic and smoke or vape.
My high school band leader who played trumpet, and a mean trumpet, was like a 2.5 pack a day guy.
Wow.
It was astounding. Yeah. Yeah.
John, have you got a news story for us?
Yeah. Union vote highlights coronavirus crisis for California's home daycare providers. After close to 2 decades of organizing and legislative struggle, tens of thousands of babysitters, early childhood educators, and home day care proprietors will vote this month on whether to unionize, a move many hope will reinvigorate California's ailing child care system in a moment of unprecedented crisis for millions of working families. People need to understand we're not any regular union, said Zoila Carolina Toma, a longtime organizer with Child Care Providers United, which could soon represent home-based child care workers in negotiations with the state. We're not just fighting for us as workers, we're also fighting for our children's future. As organized labor goes, the guild structure is unusual, though hardly unique in California, which boasts one of the highest rates of union membership in the country. Child Care Providers United is run jointly by the state's 2 largest unions, SEIU and AFSCME-UDW, but operates more like the Screen Actors Guild, which represents independent workers and is an open shop where membership is voluntary. Unlike actors, though, daycare workers hope to negotiate directly with the state. California pays, regulates, and in most cases, licenses home-based providers. Union organizers say they want more money, a greater hand in shaping rules, and a radical expansion of the state's alternative payment voucher program for low-income children. We want to not just get benefits for ourselves, but also for these families and children, Thomas said. This will benefit the families we work with. The plight of working families has never been more public than it is now, as thousands of parents are being called back to work and thousands more struggle to balance childcare with essential jobs. There are about 1 million California children in daycare, more than a third of them in subsidized spots, when home-based providers won the right to unionize last fall. The parents who rely on these subsidies are disproportionately working-class Latina and Black women, among those hardest hit by pandemic layoffs. Unless that care is replaced, experts warn, economic recovery will be impossible. Yet those who provide it say their labor is undervalued and their experiences outright ignored. Again, it goes on and talks about the wages they get paid, which aren't very much, but you get the idea.
Thank you very much. And I'm going to give the last news story of the day. And this involves the number 8,000. And the number 8,000 might not mean anything to you now, but I guarantee you in the very near future, it's going to. California is prepared to release up to 8,000 prison inmates early between now and the end of August, with the State Corrections Department this past Friday introducing a combination of measures to free up space during the coronavirus pandemic. The California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation expanded upon a letter sent Thursday, which informed most inmates they'd have a 12-week credit applied to their sentences, with an announcement Friday of 3 additional cohorts that will qualify for release over the next several weeks. My understanding is that they're going to start releasing the first 4,000 out of 8,000. Those that have less than 6 months on their sentence, those that are older than 30 years old, they are going to be released out first. Next will be in the 30 to 50 year range, maybe 30 to 40, I'm not sure, and that have 1 year left remaining. But up to 8,000 prisoners in California's jails and prisons are set to be released between now and August. Mike, any burning desires?
Nope, just to say, though, that it's no wonder the gun shops are sold out of guns.
Excellent point, Mike. Absolutely. John, burning desires?
No, not really.
All right. Well, it's been a pleasure being with you for another edition of Work Comp Matters. I want to thank Scott Walton of Uncle Studios for engineering the show, taking care of the technical difficulties. My chief of staff, Dr. Mike Zyma, the madman across the water, John Scalia, and all the good people back at WorkCompCentral, the WorkCompCentral, that continue to support and approve of this project, including but not limited to Ms. Kristen Chavez. My name is Steve Appell. We'll see you again tomorrow at noon for another edition of Work Comp Matters.